Hello, everyone. What's going on? Bleacher Report live stream time. Raiders Daily, Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. I already see people active in the chat. How are we doing? My name is Rodney. If you already knew that, thank you so much for coming back and watching another live stream. If you're watching live on Bleacher Report, you know the drill. Every single week, we got votes to make in the polls. We got comments to put live that I can read and answer and react to. If you're watching after the fact on YouTube, hit that like button and make sure you're leaving your comments in the comment section so I know where you would be voting if you could vote in these polls. We are one singular week away from training camp. I see feet in the chat. I see Jay Sletto in the chat. I'm sure there's more people that are going to be talking in a little bit here. What's going on to you guys? 1 week away. And there are two specific battles, wide receiver and offensive line, that have rised to the cream of the crop. The note says, "What's up, nation? Man, why are they taking Mo away from us?" Can you elaborate on that? Can you elaborate on that just so I know exactly what you're talking about? Because I might be able to shed some light on that. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but I think I do know some things that are happening. Anyway, what was I saying? Okay, so training camp is 1 week away, and there are training camp battles to talk about, right? Wide receiver and offensive line. And I want to touch on them specifically. But before I do that, I think I want to start this off a little differently, sort of a cautionary tale of something that Raider fans, I'm sure all fandom does in particular, but something that we do, right? And it's we hear these reports and we think, well, this must be what's going to happen during the season because training camp is going to happen soon in 1 week. And we're going to hear Geno Smith was terrible. We're going to hear Dante Thornton is Randy Moss in a good way, not a bad way, Raider Nation. I know when you say Randy Moss Raiders, it's bad. I'm saying in a good way. We're going to hear Chip Kelly's offense is insane, blah, 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 stuff like that. What you have to understand is, and I'm going to be making videos on all these reports. I'm not, you know, what's the word that I'm looking for? I'm not out of the sphere of people who will be talking about this, right? But what you have to take away from these reports that we're going to be talking about next week when training camp starts are the broad strokes. So what I did was I went back to 2024. I Googled 2024 training camp reports for the Las Vegas Raiders. And there was a lot of specific information in those reports that never went anywhere. And then there were broader strokes of those reports that ended up being exactly true. So, for example, the broad strokes were offense bad, defense good. And then there were little, nuanced opinions within that. Like Jacoby Myers looks good, but the run game, I don't know. Excuse me, I don't know. And the defense is balling out for Patrick Graham and blah, 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 blah. And Malcolm Kuntz looks really good. And Christian Wilkins, blah, blah, blah. Broadly, that was right. Offense bad, defense good. But then when you looked into the specifics, you know what they said? Zamir White, he's upping his level of play. He's bigger. He's faster. He's stronger. Look for a big Zamir White year. And what happened? Nothing. Offense bad, but Luke Getsy's system. He's creative. He's got 2 tight end sets. We're running a lot of play action with Aiden, who's moving his feet a little more. That was nothing. On the defensive side of the ball, Malcolm Kuntz gets hurt. Nothing matters. So am I telling you all this to say, hey, when I myself or any other Raider people or people on Bleacher Report write these articles about this stuff or we make these videos on this, should you pay attention at all? Should you just throw it out the window? No. It's important information because broadly, you're starting to put the pieces together of what this team is going to look like. But specific things that we hear, while it's okay to be nervous or excited about, make sure you're understanding the amount of salt the grains of salt that you have to take when you're reading these reports and seeking them out. And I said positively and negatively because I don't want to be the guy that goes, "Oh, well, Dante Thornton looks amazing and he's running with the ones, but only time will tell when the game starts." But then when I hear something negative, go, "Uh-oh, Geno Smith is terrible." No, you have to push away, like Bo Burnham says, both sides and leave a healthy middle. So that is the cautionary tale that I wanted to start with this in particular. Let me see what's going on in the chat here. Already CJ Soletto. What's up, Ronnie? Hoping you're sticking around. I will get to that in a second. I'm up the next 2 days. Yes, Tre Tucker is going to break out 2024. Yes, no doubt about it. I guess I don't know what I'll say. I'm not going to say much about like the content shift moving forward here, but what I do know is that the live streams, there's going to be a different look on the app, not physical look, but the content is going to be different. I don't know how much anyone's going to be involved. They're still ironing out the kinks, but for right now, I think I just have this Thursday and then tomorrow before we see what's going on moving forward. So that's all I'll say about that. It's not positive or negative. It's just different. Change is good. It's okay. So let's start out with the training camp battle that everyone wants to talk about. It was the thumbnail of this video. And it comes down to one battle here. And let's read about it via Just Blog, Baby, and Marcus Mosher. And it says, Raiders training camp could erupt if this position battle gets heated. Competition will be abundant in Las Vegas ahead of 2025. There's that beautiful stretch of games that we lost for absolutely no reason. If there's one thing Raider Nation knows about Pete Carroll is that he preaches competition. The best Raiders players are going to play regardless of where they were drafted or how much they signed for in free agency. I've made this point 1,000 times. The best example of this is when Pete Carroll started Russell Wilson, a third-round pick in 2012, over Matt Flynn, who was a high-priced free agent addition that offseason for the Seattle Seahawks. Fans should expect training camp to be intense for the Raiders as the entire roster competes for starting jobs and spots on the team. But the wide receiver battle will be one to keep an eye on, a close eye on, throughout training camp and into the preseason. Jacoby Myers is the clear-cut number one receiver on the roster, but the rest is up in the air. The expectation is that Jack Bech, a second-round pick from TCU, will get the first look as the slot receiver. He lacks long speed, but he's a reliable pass option in the middle of the field, and his blocking ability should help him get on the field right away. Raiders will have training camp battle for starting wide receiver spot. But the real battle could end up being between Tre Tucker and Dante Thornton Jr. for one of the starting receiver spots. Tre Tucker has had a nice sophomore season in Las Vegas, catching 47 passes for 539 yards and 3 touchdowns. That actually is pretty good. I didn't know those were his stats for one season last year. Is that really what Tre Tucker did? We'll have to look into that. His game is built on speed and quickness, but his unreliable hands have kept him from having a bigger impact on the offense. I don't know if I'll go that far. I mean, the quarterback play is not great either. And then there's Thornton, who is more than half a foot taller than Tucker and outweighs him by at least 30 pounds. But there is very little difference in speed. In fact, Thornton is faster running a 4.3 40-yard dash compared to Tre Tucker's 4.4. However, Thornton isn't as quick in and out of his breaks and is nowhere near as elusive as Tucker, but there are a lot of similarities between Dante Thornton and DK Metcalf, another wideout whom Carroll developed in Seattle. Tucker has the upper hand in the wide receiver battle because he has much more experience and is more polished as a route runner. But Thornton has been highly impressive during the offseason workouts, and the Raiders might want to lean on his height and speed to help stretch the field vertically. The best possible outcome would be for Thornton and Tucker to have incredible camps, forcing Chip Kelly to find ways to get both on the field. We'll talk about that. If that is the case, the Raiders could have a much better offense than this season than anyone anticipates. They would finally have depth at the position and would have a receiver room that complements each other, especially when you include Brock Bowers as a receiving option. Keep an eye on the wide receiver battle that will be heading to Las Vegas for the next 6 weeks because it could have a drastic impact on the offense if Tucker or Thornton can take that next step. The Raiders could be ready to take a massive leap on offense this season. So, let's talk about this. I grew up in the country. I know the smell of BS. Bars. Tre Tucker v. Dante Thornton. The battle we never saw coming. Let me just confirm real quick. Tre Tucker Stats. I just want to make sure that that's actually what he did his second season. Yeah, I think so. So his second season, he had over 500 yards, 47 receptions, and 3 touchdowns. That's that's pretty good. That's pretty good, especially for how bad the quarterback play was. I've been on this battle since day one, since we heard that Dante Thornton was balling out. But I've never planted and cemented my flag in the ground as to who I think is actually going to win the battle. So let's talk about it. Pros and cons list for Tre Tucker and Dante Thornton. The pros for Tre Tucker: he is a pro. He's been there already. He knows the speed of the game. He's learned multiple offenses in the National Football League. He's probably at this point a more polished route runner. And he's more elusive because he's smaller. And that's probably it for the pros. The cons would be, again, that he's smaller. That's a pro and a con. He's slower than Dante. He's not as big as Dante. He drops the ball a little bit, but he was better last year than he was his rookie year. Pros for Dante: I mean, he's the DK Metcalf archetype. He's younger. He's faster. He's a bigger presence on the field. He's a more vertical threat than Tre Tucker. I do think what this comes down to is who is going to be able to make their presence felt. Because you can run the best route in the world, but if the play's not designed for you, right? How are we going to know how much of an impact you're making? If you can take the top off the field, top off the defense consistently, which is the key word. Tre Tucker can do it, but he can do it in spurts. Now, can he do it in spurts because he's that kind of player, or does he do it in spurts because our quarterback play was that bad? Because I've always said, with Aiden on the field, Tre Tucker has some sort of presence. And when Gardner's on the field, besides that one play against the Panthers, Tre Tucker was non-existent. Now, if that was Dante Thornton, would it be the same? Or would he be able to make his presence felt no matter who's out there? I'm going to put the poll out here. And I want to hear your guys' reasoning as to why you're voting for Thornton Jr. or Tucker, or will both start over Jack. The reason why I have that third is because I think that's the least likely outcome. I think they want Jack to start because of his blocking capabilities to open up a lot of the run game. But like the article that we just read said, if Thornton, I want to get that right, and Tre force Chip Kelly's hand, he's going to have to find a way to get everyone on the field, which obviously is a good problem to have. So right now, what you guys are saying is that you think both are going to start over Jack. I think that's unlikely. So if I'm saying Jack's going to start and Jacoby's going to start, I now have to pick between Tre Tucker and Dante Thornton. And if I close my eyes and I think about week 1 against the Patriots, a young defense, a defensive-minded head coach, I think we're going to need every advantage possible. And when I look out on the field, I see Gino and Ashton in the shotgun. To the left, I see Brock on the line and Jacoby. To the right, I see Jack in the slot. And I think I see Dante Thornton Jr. out on the field. And I think they're going to keep their cards close to the vest and they're going to be very coy about it. But I could hear the announcer going, and here's the starting lineup. And surprisingly, Dante Thornton, the rookie out of Tennessee, is out there with the first teamers. Gina claps. They break the huddle. And I see Dante Thornton lining up. I think he's going to win this camp job and be the starter. I think the only thing that could hurt him is if he drops the ball or if he can't have that speed impact that he has once he puts the pads on. But we know he can have that impact because we've seen him do it in college. And if we are to take his word that he can run the whole route tree, and they were just holding him back in Tennessee, he didn't say that exactly. He didn't say holding me back, but I think it's only a matter of time before he takes the starting spot. Now, that doesn't mean Tre Tucker's going to go away. He's probably going to return kicks and punts with Tommy Malott, and he's probably going to be in there a lot to catch an end around, to catch a bubble screen, to stretch the field with Dante. They're going to play a lot together when we need to spread things out. Excuse me. But we're going to want to run the football a lot. So I think they're going to have Jack out there a lot and Michael Mayer out there with Brock, and they're going to need a physical threat to stretch the field that can also probably throw some people around. And I think Dante is that guy. So if I had to make a prediction right now, July 10th, Superman Day, 2025, I think Dante Thornton Jr. starts ahead of Tre Tucker, with Jack Bech being that other wide receiver. But you guys disagree with me. You say that they both start and Jack is the odd man out. That would be crazy, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. It is on the board. It is on the board. So that's interesting. That's interesting. I'm going to close that poll here, and we're going to transition to another battle of sorts. Now, of all the concerns I have about this team, and there are a lot, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like this isn't a 12-win team. Lock it in. I've got them at 9-8 right now. I'm going to make another win-loss prediction video, but I don't foresee that changing as of right now. We'll see how they look in the preseason and these reports that I said to be wary of. But of all the concerns I do have, one of the concerns I don't have, weirdly enough, is the offensive line. Now, there's a lot of people, I got a lot of questions about this on my call-in show on Tuesdays, which is on YouTube, youtube.com/ALLaBorde Raiders. And now Bleacher Report themselves are talking about our biggest free agent bust. And they're talking about guard Alex Kappa. Now, we've already talked about Alex Kappa a lot. He was not good last year. He was good a couple years ago when he was on Tampa Bay, but he was not good last year. So let's read what they have to say. Well, actually, I should probably give credit to the author and then the little thing up top. Christopher Knox. We read some Christopher articles predicting every NFL team's biggest bust of the 2025 season. The NFL offseason is a time of hope and positivity. Every franchise features exciting new faces and an empty loss column. As the calendar turns to training camp, however, several teams are in store for reality check. 2/3 of them can't make the playoffs, and not every addition is going to meet expectations. We'll dive into the latter piece of the equation here by examining some players who carry big expectations, after being drafted highly, headlining free agency, receiving lucrative contract extensions, or simply raising the proverbial bar through 2024 performance. Contract status, cap implications, past production, positional value, and any relevant team-specific information and factors will all be considered here. Okay, let's go to the AFC West. Denver, J.K. Dobbins. Kansas City, Jalen Moore. That would be nice for us. Chargers, Dante Jackson. Raiders, Alex Kappa. So let me zoom in here a little. So this is our predicted biggest bust of free agency. Now, by the way, that just means that we didn't have some huge free agent signings, so there's not a lot to pick from here, but they have to pick somebody in the big dogs cap. Las Vegas Raiders are set to lean on new quarterback Geno Smith and rookie first-round running back Ashton Jeanty in 2025. Both players will need a reliable offensive line to succeed. However, and free agent addition Alex Kappa looms as a potential weak link along that line. Kappa's 2-year, $11 million contract isn't egregious, but he's still likely to underwhelm more than a few Raider fans this season. Though it's worth noting that he was bad on a Bengals offensive line last season. Kappa was ranked just 111th overall among guards with Pro Football Focus. It won't be a total surprise to see Kappa backing up rookie third-round Caleb Rogers by midseason. Okay. So, do I disagree with this take? No. But here's why I'm not really concerned about the offensive line. And I talked about it a little in past videos, but if we pull up Pro Football Focus here, they've got the Las Vegas Raiders offensive line going into 2025 ranked 18th in the league. I think it's maybe a little low, but it's not out of the realm of possibility to be 18th. And what they say here is following a slow start to his season, during which he allowed multiple sacks, Colton Miller showed in 2024 once again that he brings excellent pass blocking chops at left tackle. His 82.2 PFF pass blocking grade was ranked 11th among all offensive tackles. Dylan Parham enjoyed a breakout season at left guard, posting a 17th ranked 74.3 PFF overall grade. Right tackle DJ Glaze and centers JPJ showed promising signs as rookies, but they need to take a step forward for the Raiders' offensive line to be considered above average. So right here, they got all the rankings, right? They've got Colton Miller at 13th, Parham left guard, 17th, JPJ 40th, Kappa 71st, and Glaze 45th. So if you're just looking at the offensive line here from this perspective, wouldn't you say that right guard typically is the least important position on the line, right? Because I think the left side of the line, unless you're, Michael Penix or Tua Tagovailoa, is the most important side of the line because it's your blind side. Then it's the center who's very important, and then it's the two tackles, obviously, that round things out. Jackson Powers Johnson and DJ Glaze showed enough for me last year to not be concerned that they're going to take a step forward. JPJ in particular, we know what he can be. He was hurt in the beginning of last season, so he had a little bit of a welcome to the NFL moment, but then he was completely fine. And then DJ Glaze held his own, again, getting kind of thrown into the fire as a rookie. I don't foresee them taking a step back. If they play like they did last year, we'll be okay. Dylan Parham, like they said, had somewhat of a breakout season. He's a decent left guard, and Colton Miller is a top 12-ish left tackle in the league. He's top 5 when he's completely healthy, and he's, top 12-ish when he's not completely healthy. So then you have Alex Kappa. Now, we've talked about who we drafted. Caleb Rogers, right? And there's also Charles Grant. The reason I bring up Charles Grant is because I listened to a John Spytek podcast that he appeared on when he was the assistant GM of Tampa Bay, and I've talked about this point a lot. He said what Tampa Bay is good at is drafting tackles that go to smaller schools, William and Mary, right? And taking them and transitioning them to guard. The reason why they do that is because usually those tackles aren't actually tackles at small schools, shouldn't be playing the tackle position, but they're the best athlete on the line. So these small schools go, hey, you're the best athlete, you're the left tackle. And that's what Charles Grant was in college. I do think in an ideal world, they would like him to develop into the next Raiders left tackle. But there's also a chance that he could slide into one of these guard positions. And Caleb Rogers was drafted as a guard, so he could be a guard as well. So my question to you is, my poll question is, who starts week 1 at right guard? Kappa, Rogers, or is it Charles Grant, right? In my mind, I don't really care, if I'm being honest with you, because again, right guard is my least important position. Now, we don't want somebody in there who's just getting blown up, right? If Alex Kappa starts week 1, and I do think he is going to start week 1 just because we invested $11 million in him, although the Pete Carroll effect, the best guy will play. If he's getting blown up, take him out. But I don't think he's going to get blown up. He's fine. He's not great. We can leave a running back into Chip to help out. And we have the flexibility to slide in a rookie as Caleb Rogers could be, or Charles Grant. So while I do think, yes, it's definitely possible for Alex Kappa to be a free agent bust. I mean, who would be the other options? Landon Roberts. I've been told by multiple Steelers fans you're going to love him. Devin White, how could he be a bust? We don't expect anything from him. Jalen Smith, Raheem Mostert, none of these guys. Jermaine Pratt, maybe. Jermaine Pratt being a bust would be tough just because he was on a bad defense last year, but he's one of the best linebackers we've had in a long, long time. It's like him and Spillane. Just because we don't have a lot of great linebacker depth, he's already coming in here, and people are like, yep, you're starting, no doubt about it. So I do think Alex Kappa does start, but this whole conversation doesn't move the needle for me. I do think that the offensive line is going to be completely fine. So that's basically it for me today. The last thing I do want to talk about, though, real fast, NFL Top 100 is continuing to unveil players, and Brock Bowers was 22 on the NFL Top 100. Let me just confirm that just to make sure, but I think that's what I saw. Brock Bowers, NFL Top 100, number 2. Brock Bowers debuts on this year's NFL Top 100 list at the number 22 spot, which is the highest for both tight ends and rookies. During the 2024 season, the tight end hauled in 111 receptions, broke Mike Ditka's record. 1,200 yards, 5 touchdowns. So the players ranked him ahead of Jaden Daniels. Do I think Brock Bowers should have won Rookie of the Year? No. I do think it's kind of a quarterback, it's a quarterback-driven league. Jaden had an unbelievable season. Playoffs doesn't matter for this stuff, but they went to the NFC Championship game, which is insane. They went into Detroit and beat them. Jaden should have won the award. If it was any other season, Brock Bowers would have won. But the best rookie of the year, according to the players, was Brock Bowers. Again, don't love to toot my own horn, but I said maybe we should draft this kid, and everybody hated it. Go read the articles and go watch the film and the footage. Everybody was mad. Everyone said, we have Michael Mayer already. Best rookie of the year last year, according to the players. Yeah, I think that's going to be it for me today. That's all I got. The camp battles that are going to be starting next week, literally 1 week from today. Rookies report to training camp. And then I think a week after, 5 days after, it's the veterans. It's going to be fun. I can't wait to read those reports that I said take with a grain of salt because, as I said, I'm going to take it with a grain of salt, but I'm going to be very excited if people start saying Geno looks like Rich Gannon. Thank you so much for watching, whether you're watching live on BR. Thank you so much for voting in the polls and joining me. If you're watching after the fact on YouTube, hit that like button, comment away. Please be sure to subscribe. It is free after all, no charge to you. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.